There
You know
is this
what about Vertasium?
Okay.
This is the prime example of a channel that I don't
else?
watch, just so I can watch xQc.
It works
to
for
it.
both the groups.
Right? Because I know when this guy uploads a video, it's
that
gonna come in
emotion
my recommended.
doesn't play the same on both
Then,
sides equally.
what I
It's
do
what I'm
is
saying.
I
There's a slight
wait
bias on one side or the other. I'm
Wait
just telling you.
until
this
watching
research
it,
paper that has
because
been
I
on
need
my
to-
mind for
I
years.
need to watch xQc
It shows
react
that there
to it,
is
and
a
I know he
particular
will react
type
to
of
it.
problem
Yeah,
where
have
the
to wait
smarter
until
you are, the more
I
likely you are to
have
get
to
it
wait.
wrong. So I asked my American friend Wiley to go out on the street and ask people the questions from the study to see if we could replicate its findings. The first question in the paper is about a fictitious study on skin cream. So in this made-up study, people with skin rashes are assigned to either the experimental group, where they use a new cream for 2 weeks, or the control group, where they use no cream for that same period. And at the end, they count up how many rashes improved and how many got worse in each treatment group. The results are summarized in this table. So the question study participants were asked was,
did the skin cream make the rash better?
Hold on. Hold on. Rash improved. Hold on. Who were the groups? Experimental controls a no cream, and that's cream.
count up how many rashes improved, able.
So people that use the cream,
It doesn't
20
do
people
anything.
got better,
Because
70 got worse.
This is like
No
5x.
cream, 100% people got better.
5x.
Okay.
And this is 3x.
Well,
So it's a little bit better, but
20%. 20%. 20% got worse. This one is
it's
35%.
the amount of people, I think.
So the
It's not
question
percent.
study
But,
participants were
this,
asked was,
you can see this
did
is
the skin
5x
cream
and
make
this
the
is
rash
3x.
better?
It should have
Or did it
improved
make it
a little
worse?
bit.
It made it worse.
the question is a little tricky because it requires proportional reasoning.
I think better.
Better? So what are you looking at, just real quick?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm just looking at how big the numbers are.
If you just
Yeah, that's
look
not
for the
how it
biggest
works.
number,
You need to check
that
for the
is
ratio
the group
between
who
this
used
number
the skin
and this
cream
number.
and the rash improved.
So this number is bigger
No,
than
no,
this
no.
number?
You need to check
So
for
you
the
might
ratio between
conclude
this
that the
and
cream
this
worked.
and this and this.
It makes
Because
rashes better.
You can see it only improved for twice as much, but it worsened for 4 times as much. Yeah, that's how you do it. So it's bad because you can see more people. There are definitely more people with cream, right? You have the total of both. This is the total with cream. This is the total without. But you can see a bigger percentage. It worsened for the. You need to divide this whole thing by one of these two on both levels, right? You can see it's 4 times as bad on this, but only twice as good, right? That's why it's bad, because you have around 2 times as many people that use the cream, but you have 4 times as many people that got a worsened rash.
That is the intuitive answer. But if you look more carefully at the data,
So I won. Wait, so chat said I was stupid, but I got it
I'm gonna
right.
check if I'm correct.
and use
think I'm
proportional
correct here.
reasoning, you realize that in the experimental cream group, about 3 times as many people got better as got worse. But in the control group, around 5 times as many people got better than worse.
Yeah,
So
that's my
using no
first point.
cream, your rash was significantly more likely to
That's what I
improve.
said!
In fact, it's
That's
a fair
what I
conclusion to
said!
say that the
That's
cream,
what I
on
said!
average, made rashes worse. The lead author on this study was Dan Kahan.
I'm studying the science of science communication.
He and colleagues recruited a nationally diverse sample of 1,111 Americans to participate. But before answering the question on skin cream, each participant was asked a series of questions to assess their numeracy.
A numeracy, it's not so much the capacity to use complicated mathematics, but really to reason well about quantitative information.
Numeracy scores for the entire sample were roughly normally distributed. Now, if you group together all the participants with a certain numeracy score, say group all the zeros together, all the ones together, all the twos, and
Bell
so on,
curve, yeah.
well, what fraction of each group do you think got the skin cream question right? Well, the results are exactly what you'd expect.
Oh, this is math.
It's math.
In a fifth of the people, which is a smaller number, the rash worsened, so the skin cream didn't help.
So it didn't make it better.
I feel like the cream, if anything, made it worse.
The higher the numeracy score, the greater the fraction of participants who got the answer right.
Yeah, I don't think the numbers mean anything to me. Because I think I would need to know what's the rash and what's the cream you're giving me.
Those with better numeracy skills managed to avoid...
As a percent, brother, 20% is
Yeah,
5.
he means ratio.
Okay. 30% is 3.
It's ratio.
You understand how that
Not
works?
percent, but it's
The
something
percentage
similar, right?
it's a ratio. It is still the same.
Politically correct
It's not the
answer.
same.
What are
but it's
the like proportions?
We
Had
get it.
nobody get
We
into
get
the
it,
numbers like
bitch.
this. This is great.
Excellent. You got that right.
If I said 20%, the way you get from 20 to 100 is 5. The video said it here, 3 and 5. I said 30%, 3. How do you get to 10? 3, kind of.
And correctly determine that the cream actually made rashes worse, which is no big surprise. But this version of the skin cream question was only shown to some of the participants. Another subset saw the same exact table, except the column headings were reversed. So in this case, the skin cream did make the rashes better. So how did the different numeracy groups do with this
Because
version?
it's a big number,
Well, again,
they think it's
the
bad.
highest numeracy
Because
groups were the most likely
the
to get
smaller
the
number
correct
got it better,
answer.
and the
But below
the
a
bigger
numeracy
number
score
got
of
worse.
5, the results were pretty flat. That could be because even without any numerical reasoning, most people might expect a skin cream to improve a rash, which just happens to be the right answer in this case. But the true purpose of the study was not to find out how numeracy affects our ability to reason accurately with data. No, it was to figure out if something else affects our reasoning ability. Specifically, politics.
Huh?
If you look at the skin cream data again, but separate the participants by their self-reported political affiliations, so liberal Democrats versus conservative Republicans, there's basically no difference between the groups. All follow the same pattern irrespective of party, which makes sense because a study on skin cream is about as apolitical as it gets. But what the researchers did with the other half of the participants was the opposite. Instead of skin cream, they presented a fictitious study on gun control. In case you don't know, Democrats generally believe that gun control reduces crime, whereas Republicans believe it increases crime because it takes guns out of the hands of good guys who could prevent or deter crime.
It's not about numbers,
in
it's
their
about
made-up study,
people
cities
shutting
were
your mind
divided
off
into
because
two
they're
groups.
dumb as shit.
Those that
and
had
they're
recently enacted
radicalized.
legislation making it illegal to carry a concealed handgun, and similar cities that had no such legislation. Over the following year, crime rates were monitored to see where crime increased and where it decreased. The results are summarized in the table. Again, no surprise, it's exactly the same as the skin cream example. Of course, there were two variations, one where gun control decreased crime and one where it increased crime.
But their bias
Now,
makes
if you
them
look at the
brick
results
it.
by political leaning, they paint a very different picture.
It's kind of obvious. If you have guns in the city, people are going to start shooting people. And
I
you
don't
know,
get it, because you
if
have a gun with a dash through it. You think no guns. It doesn't mean no guns. Like it's getting controlled, or it means no gun control.
don't have guns and you outlaw them, cities are obviously going to have less crime in them. But the thing is like, you can't just take people's guns away and say that they're illegal, you know? Like that's just, it's kind of like drugs.
Okay, so
wait,
dash
but these numbers though, how did you just come to that conclusion?
When Republicans are shown the table where the correct answer is gun control laws increase crime, then the accuracy improves with increasing numeracy, just as before. But for the Republicans who are shown the table where gun control decreases crime, well, numeracy skills no longer affect accuracy. Those with a numeracy score of 7 or 8 are barely more likely to answer correctly than those with a score of 0 or 1.
So where the crime improved, like there can be crimes that were prevented because the guns were legal, and the crimes that were worsened.
This title isn't right. This just proves that political Andes, the radical Andes, they're retarded, man. They're retarded.
Crimes like not related
It
to
makes
guns, you know?
It
And
makes
the same is
you
true in reverse
physically
for
retarded.
Democrats.
It makes
the
you
more
retarded.
numerate people in this sample have no problem recognizing the correct answer when it shows that gun control reduced crime. But if the data showed that gun control increased crime, then all of a sudden numeracy didn't help. Remember, this is the exact same data and question as the skin cream example. The only difference is now that data is presented in a political context. And the biggest difference in performance is among the most numerate people. They're scoring a lot worse than they should have.
The low numeracy people are about 25 percentage points less likely to get the right answer if that answer is threatening to their ideology than if it's consistent with their ideology. The people who are high in numeracy, on the other hand, 45 percentage points less likely to get the right answer.
Rather than using their mathematical ability to come to the correct conclusion, they somehow selectively apply it to justify the conclusion they already believed beforehand.
Oh yeah, classic.
Yeah, they're
thought that.
As numeracy increases,
they
people are more
shut
divided
their
about
entire
the efficacy
system off.
Or the risks of
And
gun.
How much risk do you believe government's restrictions on private gun ownership
it's
oppose
proof.
human health and prosperity?
Now you have
Extreme
proof
risk
that
between
Twitter and
moderate
Reddit,
and high.
it's just a bunch of retardation on there,
Control
man.
regulation. The same thing with fracking. And same thing with global warming. We see the polarization conditional on numeracy. But we also see the same effect when we measure people.
It's not libtards or megatards. It indicates a political bias. That's what it is. It's both sides.
Now this is my theory. This is my theory. Okay. What people do is they don't use their mind to be smart. What they do is they fixate on something and then they say, well, I'm smart because I'm good at this one thing over here. But then I'm gonna use this, disregard it completely, be completely retarded and focus on this, and then pretend like I'm an insanely genius, like I'm on Reddit or Quora. You know, Quora, that nobody uses that fucking site. But it's so dumb, man.
In other ways.
It's
Depending
so dumb.
on the topic,
in science
People
literacy,
that
more
pretend to be
polarized than
smart.
the people who
It's
are
so
low.
dumb.
The people who are high in actively open-minded thinking, you see
Go
more
on Twitter.
polarization, not
Anything political, the first reply everywhere is this guy is so retarded. He's retarded. Man, come on, man.
less as they become more proficient.
You're
in this kind of thinking.
retarded.
Based on this data, of course, I'd want to look into it and look at all the sources. And of course, there are sources from sources because people are always citing each other.
So
but
the numbers are actually not real whatsoever.
It looks, but if I were to look at this pragmatically, I would just say that the playing field seems pretty even here.
Pretty even?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Now, everyone wants to believe
Classic,
that they
yeah.
are rational, that they could change their beliefs in light of the evidence.
I try to.
If you encounter
I try to.
evidence on a political issue that you were like, this is good evidence, I've done my research, but it contradicted your political belief on that issue, how would you react to that?
How is that Kappa? How is that Kappa?
At least be open to learning.
Yeah.
If it's on paper and that's the way it is, I would have to go with that.
I'm gonna have to deal with it. I can't be like, well, I feel like it's different.
All I see here are people who will continue to hold partisan beliefs regardless of the evidence, all the while deluding themselves into thinking they came to these beliefs via an independent, sober consideration of the facts. The truth is that mostly we believe what we believe to fit in with our tribe.
Well,
and
yep.
That, in the most important way, is highly rational.
See?
Because humans are very social creatures,
Yes.
and throughout most of our evolution, we've
Chat,
depended.
chat, this is the classic. This is the classic. The sky is gonna fall on our heads or whatever,
It's
and
the opposite of
the
rational.
mountain
It's based
thing or
on
whatever.
trust.
On
If
each
you
other
only
for
believe in
survival.
it
The
because you
allegory of
trust
the
it,
cavern.
it's not
The group
rational.
is almost as bad as walking off a cliff. If we question the status quo by rejecting what those around us accept as true, we jeopardize our place in society.
Man, I've learned that
people are
guys,
not as dissimilar.
the cavern. It's like everybody said it, guys. If you were born in a spot, everybody said it. Listen, if you go above the mountain, you fall off the edge and you fall off the earth. The earth is a plaque. If you go above the mountain, you fall off the edge immediately, right? Well, that becomes very cemented belief. It becomes very rigid, okay? And you're not very likely to go against it if everybody around you in your system is your people.
That there is
that's true.
So many similarities between sides that we think share nothing.
You have to know that most of your beliefs, even though you might think like you rationally deduce them or you just know this, the reality is that you base 99% of your beliefs completely on the people you grew up with and the people that are around you, the people that in your town, the people that you agree with, right? Because justifying your beliefs yourself is way harder than just watching the world and getting them justified that way by other people or just by looking out in the world. It's so much easier, right? That's why you can only do it in circumstances where you have to do it, right? You operate mostly on trust and human interaction instead of your own head, okay? Only crazy people think they've got it all figured out, including you. Yeah.
In common.
I attended Zoom meetings in the opposite party, and it was kind of scary because they sounded just like my side.
It makes you think about what we could get done if we didn't have that burden. And I think it would be a pretty different world and pretty extraordinary if we managed to figure that out.
So what do we do about this? Well, I don't think there is an easy solution, but Kahan has identified a few
This is
angles
cognitive
that might
dissonance.
work. One is avoiding partisan rhetoric. Rather than talk about gun control or climate change, avoid the loaded terms and instead focus on specific local policies. No buzzwords that could trigger anyone into tribal thinking, no villainizing the other side, just constructive solutions that make sense given the data. One example comes from Southeast Florida, where a bipartisan group of lawmakers have joined together to take action on sea level rise.
What is
the plans
ridiculous? We've come to a point where even this science guy, Vertasium, even he is getting politically radicalized. He's getting radicalized, right? This is just the start. He doesn't know yet, but this is the beginning of the end for him, you know? Yeah, if you want to be an entertainer, never dabble in politics, ever. It's gonna be the end of you. This is just proof, again, that this is the beginning of the end. There's a big conclusion coming to what has happened in the past and right now, what is happening right now. There's a big conclusion coming, and the only way to fix this problem that we've been seeing here on this video is there has to be an explosive response, okay? It has to happen. There's no other way out, because
man-made or
the only way to
they just deal with
make
existing
people
challenges
not delusional is by
the other thing is
forcing
to
them not to be delusional, because they're not going to listen ever. They're never going to listen
they're more
ever.
willing to examine all the
Okay?
evidence, including information
It's never going to
that's
happen.
inconsistent with their
So
political
you just
ideology.
force them to.
With increasing
Okay.
science
You
comprehension.
So what
force
happened with
them
Elon Musk
to
then?
think.
Did he do the fucking Squidward thing? Brain in
It's the
garbage?
only option. It's the only option.
I keep telling you this, you guys. I don't understand it. Did he do the brain in the garbage? Okay, that's what happened then. Let's forget it then.
Usually
he did brain in
comes
the garbage. And
increasing polarization on political topics. But with increasing science curiosity, this same increase in polarization is not observed. That is a start. I am not going to claim to have the solution. Problems of this sort are likely as old as the human species itself. They are just much more obvious now that everyone can post, tweet, comment, and basically...
So guys, a DGen, brother. Yes, I posted in the comment the other day. There's a post about a controller, right? Because Walls was playing a controller game on stream, on Twitch or whatever. And it was like, his controller was not even on. And it's literally on. It is literally... And then he retweets or and he comments and he says, interesting or so bogus. And you're like, dude, Dude, you could have taken like 8 seconds of research, like actual 8 seconds of research, and you would have disproven what you were about. It's so stupid.
Shout loudly into this nearly infinite digital space. The only thing I hope to do is bring some awareness. The beliefs of most people are not formed by a
people
careful
in the chat are
consideration
now
of the data.
saying they're
That
so
includes me,
morons,
and it
they're
includes you.
meritard, they're
Acknowledging
retarded.
this is an important
If you're
first step.
seriously saying this as a serious joke, not as a completely ridiculous joke.
One organization that is trying to tackle polarization and our information echo chambers is
You're
Ground
talking about
News.
yourself.
So we specifically
you're talking
asked them to
yourself
sponsor this
right now,
video.
man.
Because they gather
You're
news sources from around the world in one
fucking
spot.
retarded.
Cool.
2.3x baby.